Hello, Eliza.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Um, you're going to graduate in December, right?
Correct. December
All right.
18th.
Yeah. How are you doing at school right now?
Very well. I just finished Quad 1, did
Mm-hmm.
very well in my classes.
Mm-hmm.
I got great feedback from my teachers, especially those
Mm-hmm.
in my TESOL classes, so
Mm-hmm.
that's very encouraging.
Mm-hmm. All right. So you said you commented about TESOL classes. What's your major?
I have an English writing and literature major and a
Mm-hmm.
TESOL minor,
Mm-hmm.
so kind of a focus in writing and reading,
Mm-hmm.
but also I have some teaching classes, so that's good.
Okay. What kind of schoolwork you need to do, and what kind of courses you need to do to get TESOL minor?
You take about 20 credits
Mm-hmm.
of linguistic and teaching courses mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Last semester I took advanced grammar, which
Mm-hmm.
was fun. I actually enjoyed it. A lot of people don't, but
Uh-huh.
I also took second language acquisition, theory of second language acquisition,
Mm-hmm.
which was more about the process of learning another language.
Mm-hmm.
And this semester I've had kind of a sociolinguistics course called Language, School, and Society, as well as two teaching courses, which is teaching grammar for ELL students,
Mm-hmm.
English
Mm-hmm.
language learners,
Mm-hmm.
and assessment and curriculum
Mm-hmm.
course.
All right. So 20 credits is a lot of classes. I mean, how many classes did you taken right now?
Those ones that I mentioned, as well as I took a linguistics course before for my English major, but it also is required for my TESOL minor.
So at least 5 or 6 classes,
Six
right?
classes.
6 classes. Do you have that the TESOL minor requires some of the real-time teaching experience outside of school, or?
The minor does not require it, no.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what did you learn? What from advanced grammar classes? Because definitely you're gonna take advantage of that grammar classes, skills and knowledges, because South Korea and many other Asian countries very emphasize the kind of knowledge of grammar, English grammar. So.
Yeah. And it's interesting because grammar knowledge is something that you do acquire later in your English learning process.
Mm-hmm.
But unless you're like me and you love grammar and that's what your brain goes to. But I definitely learned a lot about how to make it understandable, how to break down a sentence. Treeing sentences is something that we did a lot, where we basically partitioned the sentences into more than just subject predicate. It was, detail, like here's the subject of the sentence, the verb, what is this? This is an adverb, label, and that sort of thing. So I think it gave me a very good grasp of the mechanics and a good grasp of also how to break it down to make it simple for people.
Okay. And so you said your major was writing and English literature?
Yes.
So, it's combined with two different subjects, right? English literature and writing. So
they're usually two different majors, so it's essentially a double major.
Okay. And would you explain a little bit about your writing, major?
Yeah, sure. The writing major was a combination of creative writing classes and tech writing classes. So I took courses in how to write for organizations, how to write manuals and that sort of thing, as well as some basic linguistic classes. And the writing portion was pretty diverse, but it was a lot of good experience.
Do you, submit lots of writing, essays or, other kind of writings to the classes, to the professors?
I've submitted a few for publication, and a couple have been published in my school's journal as far as my creative writing goes. I also post things online that people give me feedback from, and that's great.
Okay. At college, or outside of school, have you ever taught young students or adults?
I have helped tutor. I've taught my brother, given him some instructions on writing for high school. I've helped other friends. I've critiqued their papers. I'm very knowledgeable about the editing process, and that's kind of also what my writing degree prepared me for. But I also have had a lot of experience just around kids and teaching them other things, not language, and so that's kind of the new thing for me is
what other things specifically?
I've taught Bible classes to children, and I've also had just general tutoring sessions helping them with simpler math and reading and that sort of thing. I had a kid that I looked after who was a special needs kid, and so I would go to his home every day after school for a portion of the week, and we would go over homework together, and as well as there were kids that I would sometimes just tutor who asked me for help.
Was it through kind of a nonprofit organization, or?
The Bible classes I taught through Awana, which is something we do here that is like a Bible camp every week during the school year. And my tutoring was mostly word of mouth. People at my church would ask me to help their kids with different things, to babysit them sometimes, and also help them with their homework.
All right. And so you wanted to go to South Korea, which is far, far away from home, thousands of miles away. And how did you start doing it in the first place?
Got interested in Korea?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a long story. My brothers are Korean. One is actually adopted from Korea. So that kind of introduced me to the culture.
Again, who?
My brothers.
Oh, your brothers?
Yes.
Okay.
Might have said something else. Yes, my brothers are adopted from, one of them is from South Korea and the other is
really?
adopted, but he's Korean.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
All right, okay. So, well, when we first met, I recommended you to find some volunteering program, and then how does it go?
It's going pretty well. I got in touch with a school, Chapel Hill Academy, and I asked, can I get some volunteering experience with you, because they have some Russian girls in one of their classes who need some help with their English, and so just right now organizing that with the teachers, seeing what days that we can work out and that sort of thing.
You said you had many different kinds of experience work and teaching experience and tutoring and Bible study. From those experience, what kind of best quality of teacher do you think you have?
I think my best quality is both my ability to make a concept understandable, even if it's a very difficult concept, as well as to explain it in multiple ways. Because sometimes students don't understand when a teacher explains something the first time, and they'll ask a question, and the teacher will say the same thing. They still don't learn. And so I think one thing that I've noticed of my own teaching, and that I've had teachers comment on assignments, and they'll write me feedback, and they've all said, you're very good at breaking down a hard subject into, consumable information that a student can understand. And you know how to explain it from different points of view so that multiple learning styles can understand. And that just comes from my brain and how analytic I am.
Okay. And let's say in a Korean classroom, and their mother tongue is Korean, they're afraid speaking English to you. So, or they're too shy of asking some questions to a foreigner. And how come do you think you work with those kids?
Yeah. Creating a safe classroom is really important to me, and it's something that I've kind of learned from my experience as a student, is if you're afraid to ask questions and you're afraid that if you answer one of the teacher's questions, you'll be shot down and they'll just explain everything wrong with your point of view, that's just not a good learning environment. And so I think with kids who are shy around me, I want to be very encouraging, very, loving towards them in a teacherly way, so that they can feel safe and they can feel that they can talk to me, and I can also talk to them in Korean if that makes them feel better and get them to feel like I am not so different from them, and then encourage them to speak English to me as well. So
all right, are you excited?
Oh, so excited.
Korea?
Yes, I've been dreaming about it for over a year, so.
Yeah, I think you can communicate with one of your brothers while you're teaching in Korea about Korea, Korean culture, and Korean people. I think it's a really good information for him, and he's
Lots planning to go there, right? To just visit and kind of get in touch with his culture after he graduates high school. And so I said, I'll be there ahead of time, and I can scout out things that you should look at, but also I can kind of help him get to know what the culture is really like instead of what's it just like on the surface.
All right. And after arranging all, you mentioned you're gonna volunteer at a school, and after doing that, and please revise your resume and then send it to me, right? And
sure.
I'll send it back to the school once I submit your resume now. All right, thank you very much. Nice speaking with you, and thank you for answering all the questions.
My pleasure.